It's been nigh on 35 years since I last watched the movie ORCA, the Killer Whale. Does it hold up? Is it still good? Do I still enjoy it? Jaws being my favourite film. Does this compare? We're going to talk about it and talk about the new release and the transfer of it. So let's get into it. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. And yes, ORCA the Killer Whale. It was released this week here in the UK on a 4K steelbook and a Blu-ray edition like this from Studio Canal. Obviously I was going to pick it up. Now I do have it in the collection already as a Blu-ray disc. Not watched it. Like I said, I haven't watched this film since I was a kid and I don't really remember it, but I do remember specific scenes, or one specific scene that we will come into that was quite harrowing, especially as a child. Now I'm a big fan of creature features, animals running amok, killing people and this sort of thing, and this film is right up my alley in that sense. But being that it's a long time and being that Jaws is my favourite film of all time, how does this one live up? We're going to find out. So this film was released in 1977 and it was directed by Michael Anderson from a screenplay by Italian writers Luciano Vincenzoni and Sergio Donotti. The film was produced by Dino De Laurentiis. He wanted a movie that would sort of stand up to Jaws, so to speak. Obviously making this on the back of how well received Jaws was. Now when this film actually came out, it was a financial hit. You know, it done decent money for what it was, but it wasn't as well received critically. The film stars Richard Harris, Charlotte Rampling, Will Sampson, Bo Derek, Keenan Wynn and Robert Carradine, and it follows a male orca tracking down and getting revenge on a fishing boat and its captain for killing the whale's pregnant mate and their unborn calf. Now the film itself does take certain liberties with regards to orcas and how they act in the natural habitat. It's saying that they're monogamous and all this sort of thing. Killer whales aren't monogamous. They don't. They have several mates and that sort of stuff throughout their lifetime. They don't stay with one particular female. But the film does go into that. But it does play on the fact that orcas are somewhat intelligent, very intelligent animals. And at this point in history, we knew orcas to be quite friendly, so to speak, from SeaWorld and places like that. These theme parks that cruelly housed them in small tanks for our own amusement. But anyway, so like I said, this version came out and I had the choice of the 4K steelbook or the Blu-ray, which is from the 4K transfer at a £10 price difference, far cheaper. I opted for this version here, partly because it comes with art cards within, and also because being that it is from that same transfer, it's going to look pretty damn good as a Blu-ray. Yeah, so as a package, it does come with a slip like so, and you got nice art on the disc there, and also, which ironically, yeah, don't see that in the film, and some art cards therein as well. So first of all, what do I think of the release, the picture quality and this sort of a thing? The picture itself, it's the best the film's ever looked. I did put in the other Blu-ray just after to take a look at how it looked before, and it is far better. It certainly is. There's a tiny amount of grain, but it's not offensive in any way, shape or form. The colours are very bright, vibrant, and the darks are very deep and rich. You know, it looks very good. Honestly, unless you want a steelbook version, I would go for this over the 4K version. That would be my choice. Now, as with for special features, it contains a 30-minute documentary with Philip Gouge, which is all in French but with subtitles talking about the movie. But the movie itself, so the film starts off with Richard Harris's character. He wants to catch an orca because of the money involved in selling them to SeaWorld and places like this. He gets his sights on getting one, and he injures the male orca by taking part of the fin out of the back. Bit annoying, come into that. And then captures the female, a pregnant female that subsequently delivers its baby on board the ship while it is hung up by its tail, and the baby kind of plops out and onto the deck of the boat. The male orca goes mental and catches eye to eye with Richard Harris's character and goes on a vengeance spree, follows him back to where he docks the boat, and it's a small town, and starts attacking other shipping vessels that are there, fishing vessels, attacking the town, but it wants him, it wants vengeance on him. The townsfolk themselves start turning against him to a point where they stopping them from leaving the town unless they go out by sea, because they know that that's what this orca wants. This orca wants him, it wants its revenge, and slowly it gets at different individuals that are involved with him in different ways, until ultimately he has to go out, accept his fate, and go out and fight this orca. And the orca leads them into treacherous waters, icy waters for the film's big finale. And that's pretty much the story of the film. Is it any good? Is it any good? So obviously the Jaws comparisons are rife. They're there. And first off, no, it's not as good as Jaws. Nowhere near as good as Jaws. Now, like I said, it's been 35 years since I last watched this film. It runs for about 91 minutes. It's an enjoyable watch. It's an enjoyable film, but it hasn't got that magic that Jaws has, because it hasn't got the characters that Jaws has, the likable characters. It hasn't got those. It's got a nice score by Ennio Morricone, who done other music for films such as The Untouchables, Mission to Mars. Not one of his best scores. It delves into like the horror beats, much like what Jaws does, and then it has some nice tune stuff as well, which is okay, but not one of my favourite scores of his. Some of the effects in it are pretty good. I mean, you got to question how, you know, whether they learnt some stuff on the back of Jaws and done things somewhat better than what Jaws did, in a sense. Obviously, a lot of the footage of the killer whales come from footage filmed out and about for wildlife documentaries, things like that integrated into the film. There's also bits that are filmed in the tanks. You can tell because the fins of the killer whales are bent over at those points. Like I said, the annoyance of the killer whale being clipped, shall we say, and part of its dorsal fin being missing, small chunk taken out, comes and goes in the film. It's there, it's not there, it is there, it's not there, depending on how they filmed the killer whale at the time, whether they're using real footage of a killer whale or whether they're using their model mock-up of a killer whale. I will say that the film does have some rather gruesome moments. You know, the one bit that stuck with me as a child to this day is that baby plopping out onto the deck. It's quite harrowing. It is quite harrowing. And also the screams from the orca. They do, even though they're quite laughable in a sense, in that it's somewhat unrealistic, they do go through you. So the sound design of some of this is pretty damn good, if not believable. It's a solid film, and the transfer, like I said, solid transfer. I'm not the biggest fan of Richard Harris as an actor, so I didn't really gravitate towards him whatsoever. Yeah, there's not really anyone in the film that really grabs me as an overly interesting, likable character. Most characters are pretty much unlikable, to be honest, one way, for one reason or another. But yeah, it's a decent film. Nice to have a new version in the collection that is of a, you know, a quality transfer. Overall, decent package. I wouldn't go for the 4K. Steelbook isn't great art design. It's the same as this actually, but on a blue background. This one looks far better with the art cards, with the £10 price difference. This is the version that I would certainly go for if I were you, if you were interested in the film.